To catch her ex cheating, poor wife ends up in a billionaire's pool, and love begins. Sometimes the greatest twists of fate begin in the most unexpected ways. For Anna Thompson, an ordinary day in search of evidence of her ex-husband's betrayal led her straight into a stranger's backyard, where she tumbled right into his luxurious pool. Little did she know this accidental encounter would spark one of the most extraordinary stories of her life. Unaware that this mysterious homeowner was a billionaire harboring secrets of his own, Anna's discovery set the stage for an entangled destiny. Join us on this journey filled with love, betrayal, heartbreak, and redemption as we unravel how a clumsy plunge changed two lives forever. Anna Thompson never imagined she would be standing on the corner of Parkside Boulevard, anxiously peering into a cafe window with a racing heart. Just weeks ago, she had been a devoted wife, proud of her modest home and the small joys of her life. Her husband, now ex-husband, Jeremiah Thompson, once promised her a future full of hope. But over time, promises can sour. Jeremiah had changed, leaving Anna with a shattered trust and a desperate need to uncover the truth that had haunted her for months. The flickering neon sign of the cafe glowed against the dusky evening sky. Anna's gaze was laser-focused on the figure inside, Jeremiah, with his broad shoulders and confident manner. He sat at a corner table, nursing a cup of coffee with casual grace, not suspecting that someone might be watching. Only a day earlier, Anna received a cryptic text from a friend. "He's there with someone. Come see for yourself." The friend, Monica Fielding, was one of Anna's few confidants who remained loyal. When Anna first caught wind of Jeremiah's suspicious behavior, Monica was the only one who believed her. Others would say, "You're imagining things," or "He's probably stressed from work." But Anna's instincts never failed her. This man who once serenaded her with songs of devotion seemed like a stranger now, secretive and cruel. Looking through the glass, Anna's breath caught in her throat as she noticed Jeremiah wasn't alone. Across from him sat a woman Anna had never seen before, tall, sleek black hair, wearing a red dress that accentuated every curve. They looked too comfortable, too intimate. Anna clenched her fists, feeling a surge of indignation. How could he move on so quickly, scarcely 2 months after their divorce was finalized? Her mind raced back to the day their union officially ended. The judge gave them both sympathetic looks when passing the decree, but Anna could tell Jeremiah was relieved. She stood there in tearful resignation while he had the audacity to smile faintly, as if eager to embark on his new adventure. Now Anna realized he had been emotionally absent for far longer than she thought. A wave of conflicting emotions coursed through her: anger, sorrow, humiliation. She felt a desperate need to gather proof of Jeremiah's unfaithfulness. Though they were already divorced, Anna's sense of betrayal remained raw. It wasn't about punishing Jeremiah legally. It was about closure for her wounded spirit. She needed to face him with unassailable evidence, to look him in the eyes and say, "You lied. You broke everything we built." Crouching beside a short row of hedges, she noticed the waitstaff approaching Jeremiah and the mystery woman, carrying a bottle of wine. Candlelight flickered around their table, painting the scene in soft romance. Anna's stomach churned with nausea, the sting of betrayal all too real. A passing car's headlights illuminated the sidewalk, breaking Anna's trance. She exhaled sharply, tears threatening to fall but refusing to give in. "No," she told herself, "I won't run away. I will face him." Gathering her courage, Anna pressed the record button on her phone's camera, zooming in on the couple inside. Jeremiah's hand was placed over the woman's, as if in reassurance. Anna's heart twisted painfully in her chest, but she continued filming, hoping this small act would bring some resolution or at least help her understand the puzzle of his unfaithfulness. Little did she know that this lonely vigil would be the first step on a journey that would catapult her into a different world altogether, a world that was about to collide with hers in the most dramatic way possible. That night, after capturing a few minutes of incriminating footage, Anna slipped away unseen. She headed back to her rundown apartment on the outskirts of the city, an area overshadowed by tall office buildings and commercial complexes. The once vibrant neighborhood had become a victim of economic hardship, filled with vacant lots and half-renovated constructions. Yet this was Anna's refuge. Inside her modest living space, the aroma of stale coffee greeted her. Struggling to make ends meet, she worked at a local bookstore part-time and took freelance jobs online when she could. Bills piled up on her kitchen table, each reminding her of the precarious situation she was in. Jeremiah had left her with virtually nothing. She recalled how, during the divorce proceedings, he'd insisted every financial obligation should be split evenly, knowing full well that Anna's earnings were minuscule in comparison to his. She slumped into a threadbare armchair, hugging her knees and replaying the recorded video. The cafe's muffled chatter and warm lighting formed a heartbreaking backdrop for the scene of Jeremiah leaning in intimately toward this new woman. Why, she wondered, did she still care so much? They were divorced, and yet his betrayal felt fresh. Her chest tightened. "I need closure." The phone buzzed in her hand, jolting her from her thoughts. Monica's name appeared on the screen. "Hello?" Anna answered, her voice trembling. "Anna, are you okay? Did you see him?" Monica's tone was laced with concern. Anna sighed, a shaky breath escaping. "I did, and I caught him on video with another woman. My heart hurts, but at least I know I wasn't delusional." Monica sighed. "Listen, just be careful. Sometimes chasing the truth can lead us down dangerous paths." "I need to see where he goes next," Anna murmured. "I'm sure he's hiding more secrets. I won't let him keep deceiving me, even if we're not together anymore." There was a momentary pause on the line. Then Monica spoke. "I'll help you if that's really what you want, but promise you'll be safe." With that, Anna turned in for the night, the restless swirl of thoughts in her mind refusing to settle. She tossed and turned until the first rays of dawn peeked through her tattered curtains. The next morning she rose early, determined to follow Jeremiah and discover more about his new life. It felt like an obsession, a final mission that she must complete before moving on. Her battered old sedan rattled noisily as she drove behind Jeremiah's sleek silver Lexus, keeping a safe distance. She had to be cautious. A confrontation too soon could ruin her chance at real answers. Jeremiah's route took him through wealthy neighborhoods where wrought-iron gates led to mansions and carefully manicured lawns. The disparity was jarring. Anna had never ventured into these enclaves of affluence. Rows of palatial homes stretched in every direction, each more elaborate than the last. The roads were quiet except for the gentle hum of high-end vehicles passing by. When Jeremiah's Lexus slowed near a particular house, Anna nearly missed her turn. She hastily parked on a side street, feeling her pulse quicken. She watched him retrieve some documents from his car before striding confidently inside through towering double doors, accompanied by the same woman from the cafe. Something about that home felt significant. It wasn't a standard suburban house, but a sprawling estate with stone pillars and an infinity pool peeking out from behind well-trimmed hedges. Adrenaline surged in Anna. She needed a better vantage point. Maybe if she moved around the side she could glimpse them. Hiding her car behind a row of tall hedges, she slipped through a gap in the fence, her heartbeat thundering. She was in uncharted territory, but she pressed on, fueled by equal measures of heartbreak and resolve. Her worn sneakers crunched over gravel as she inched closer. She could see the lavish yard, a pristine swimming pool shimmering under the midday sun. A faint breeze rustled the palm fronds. As she approached the rear of the property, her foot slipped on wet grass. She tried to steady herself, but gravity claimed her. Before she knew it, Anna plunged into the pool with a loud splash, water rushing into her mouth and nose. She surfaced, sputtering, clothes drenched, heart pounding. She froze in panic. Any second now someone would see her. But in that mortified moment she realized she wasn't alone. Across the shimmering expanse of water stood a tall figure watching her with stunned surprise. He was not Jeremiah. He was someone else entirely. Still gasping for air, Anna wiped the water from her eyes and looked across the pool. The man stood beneath a sleek cabana, wearing a crisp white button-down shirt rolled at the sleeves, charcoal trousers, and polished leather shoes. He exuded an air of quiet power, as though every aspect of him was meticulously curated. At first glance, she could detect curiosity etched across his features, arched brows, slightly parted lips, as though he were piecing together this bizarre scene of a disheveled woman thrashing in his pool. Anna's mind raced. This isn't Jeremiah's place. Did I accidentally trespass onto another property? The realization hit her like a jolt. She had made a monumental mistake. A swirl of panic coursed through her veins, and she flailed in the water, trying to reach the edge. The man's voice, deep and resonant, cut through her frantic movements. "Are you all right?" She nodded, coughing as she tried to speak. I'm so sorry. I slipped. Anna didn't know how to explain why she was skulking around in the first place. Setting aside his apparent surprise, the man quickly shrugged off his shoes and rolled his pant legs further. He walked along the side of the pool to where Anna floundered, extending a hand. She gripped it, and with a firm pull, he helped her climb out. Water dripped from her soaked clothes, forming a puddle around her feet. Embarrassment scorched her cheeks. She took in his appearance more closely. He had sharp, intelligent eyes, hazel with flecks of gold, and dark hair styled neatly. High cheekbones framed a face that held an air of authority. This was clearly a man unaccustomed to random intrusions, especially from strangers who might be up to no good. "Thank you," she managed, looking anywhere but at him. I'm Anna. I didn't mean to trespass." He studied her, tilting his head slightly. "I'm Alexander Stewart. This is my residence." He scanned the yard as if ensuring there were no other trespassers. "I believe I have the right to an explanation. Are you in trouble? Are you running from someone?" Anna's mind reeled. Should she tell him the truth? That she was tailing her ex-husband and ended up at the wrong home? It sounded ridiculous, like a cheap thriller script. The possibilities for humiliating revelations were endless. I was looking for someone, my ex-husband," she began hesitantly. "I saw him entering a house nearby, and I thought maybe this was it." Alexander's expression softened a fraction. "So you are not a thief or a burglar?" She shook her head vigorously, droplets of water flinging in every direction. "No, of course not." "Then let me get you a towel," he offered, still keeping a guarded edge in his gaze. Alexander disappeared momentarily into the grand double doors leading to his house, leaving Anna alone in the sprawling backyard. She took in her surroundings: manicured lawns, a garden of exotic flowers, tall palm trees, and that enormous, perfectly designed pool. It spoke of affluence beyond anything she had seen up close. Not even Jeremiah, who had made decent money, lived in such luxury. When Alexander returned, he handed her a plush white towel. Anna wrapped it around herself, grateful for any semblance of warmth. She could feel the strain in her muscles from the sudden plunge. "I'm sorry," she repeated, wincing at how inadequate those words felt. "I can leave right away. I won't bother you again." He studied her carefully. "I'm not sure that's wise. You're soaking wet, shivering, and clearly disoriented. Are you injured?" Anna tested her limbs. Nothing seemed broken. Just a dull ache in her hip from the fall and a rising flush of humiliation. "I think I'm okay." "Follow me inside," Alexander said. "You can dry off, and then we can talk. I'd like to know what's going on so I don't have to call the authorities." Anna's cheeks burned a deeper shade. The last thing she needed was a criminal record. Despite her reservations, she followed him into the house, stepping over polished marble floors. The interior was a testament to both modern design and impeccable taste. Large windows flooded the rooms with natural light, and tasteful artwork graced the walls. Every detail seemed to whisper wealth and exclusivity. They walked down a long corridor to a side room that appeared to be a guest suite. Alexander pointed to the bathroom. "There are fresh towels here. I'll see if I can find you something dry to wear." Anna thanked him softly and then closed the door behind her, the events of the last hour swirling in her head. She had been following Jeremiah only to end up in the pool of a complete stranger, a man who seemed powerful and unnervingly calm in the face of such a bizarre intrusion. She shook her head at the absurdity of it all. As the warm water from the shower poured over her, Anna pondered how her life had spiraled so quickly. A simple quest for answers about Jeremiah's betrayal had led her down a path that was about to entangle her with someone far more enigmatic than she ever imagined. Little did she know this was only the beginning. After the short, warm shower, Anna emerged wearing a borrowed set of clothes, an oversized navy t-shirt and black lounge pants clearly meant for a man. They dwarfed her petite frame, but were a welcome change from her drenched attire. She tried to wring out her wet hair in the sink, staring at her reflection in the mirror. Her eyes were puffy from lack of sleep, and her cheeks were still flushed from both embarrassment and the warmth of the shower. When she finally mustered the courage to step into the hall, she found Alexander waiting for her. He offered a polite nod, then handed her a cup of steaming tea. "Here, this might help calm your nerves." "Thank you," she murmured, clutching the mug. She peeked at him, noticing he had changed clothes as well, now sporting a casual sweater and trousers, his hair slightly damp as though he'd splashed water on his face. He looked surprisingly approachable compared to the imposing figure earlier by the pool. Alexander led her into a spacious living area, where tall windows overlooked the picturesque backyard. Everything felt impeccably clean and arranged, from the modern furniture to the immaculate marble floors. Abstract artwork with bold colors adorned one wall, offset by sleek bookshelves on the other. It was as if Anna had been transported into a glossy magazine spread. She settled onto a plush armchair, cautious not to drip water everywhere. Alexander sat on a nearby couch, his posture composed. She couldn't help but feel small under his measured gaze. He broke the silence. "So, Anna, you mentioned you were following your ex-husband. Care to elaborate?" Anna took a sip of tea, letting its warmth soothe her. "Jeremiah is his name. We got divorced recently. It was complicated. I had suspicions he was cheating, and last night I managed to get some footage of him and another woman at a cafe. This morning I followed him to this fancy neighborhood but lost track. I thought he went into your house, but apparently I was wrong. I ended up in your backyard by mistake." Alexander listened quietly, his fingers steepled. "So you were trying to gather proof?" "Yes, for my own closure, I suppose. Not that I can sue him for cheating at this point. Our divorce is final. But I need answers. And I guess it's a way to confirm to myself that I wasn't crazy when I felt him pull away." His gaze flickered with understanding. "I see. And how long were you married?" 4 years, though the last year was more like a strained arrangement than a real marriage. She couldn't keep the bitterness out of her voice. "He wanted a life I couldn't provide. Flashy parties, traveling constantly, meeting new people. I'm just plain. I wanted a simple life." Alexander considered her words, then glanced around the room he owned, so far removed from the concept of simple. A small smile tugged at his lips, but it was tinged with empathy. "Sometimes people change," he said, "or their true nature only emerges when the novelty of marriage wears off." Anna nodded, feeling a surge of relief at his non-judgmental tone. "Anyway, I'm sorry for trespassing. If you want me to leave, I completely understand. I'll get out of your hair." He paused, studying her. "You must be exhausted, and if you're determined to continue this investigation of yours, you should at least have a safe place to plan. You can stay here for a bit, until you figure out your next steps. You didn't come all this way for nothing." Her eyes widened. A part of her was wary. Who, in their right mind, would let a stranger they just found soaking in their pool stay in their house? But she felt a curious sense of gratitude. Perhaps Alexander sensed it too, because he added, "It might be better for me as well. If your ex-husband really came to this neighborhood, he might live nearby. I don't want you skulking around my property again. ending up in my pool again." His tone carried a wry hint of amusement. Anna blushed. "I promised to steer clear of your pool." He gave a slight chuckle, the first real show of humor she'd seen from him. "Deal." Then, as if reading the questions swirling in her head, he said, "I live here alone. I inherited this house from my late grandfather, and it's complicated. But suffice it to say, I'm not a fan of living in hotels or penthouses. This is quiet." Quiet. Anna gazed out the window at the manicured lawn, the shimmering pool, the tall hedges. It seemed more like a fortress than a humble sanctuary, but who was she to judge? She suddenly realized something else. "I should go get my car. It's parked a few streets away." Alexander nodded, standing. "I'll drive you. It's a short ride, but we can't have you wandering around soaking wet in the cold. Then we'll come back here and you can rest." Though still grappling with the surreal nature of the situation, Anna felt her nerves ease slightly. She couldn't explain why, but a strange sense of reassurance emanated from Alexander, despite his aloof exterior. Perhaps it was the kindness he had shown her in her moment of abject humiliation. Or maybe it was something more elusive, a flicker of shared understanding between two strangers whose lives were about to become entangled in ways neither could foresee. After retrieving her car, Anna returned to Alexander's estate. He offered her a private guest room at the far end of the mansion, separated from his personal living quarters. The space was larger than her entire apartment, furnished with a plush, king-sized bed and tall windows that let in beams of afternoon sunlight. She knew it was dangerous to trust someone so quickly, but her exhaustion and emotional turmoil overshadowed any sense of caution. Besides, Alexander hadn't shown any sign of wanting to harm her. If anything, he seemed almost too willing to help. Once she settled, she made her way back to the main living area, where she found Alexander in his study, a room lined with mahogany shelves stacked with well-worn volumes. A large desk in the center housed a sleek laptop and scattered documents. He looked up as she entered, gesturing for her to take a seat on a leather armchair. "How are you feeling?" he asked. Anna offered a small smile. "Better, thanks to the shower and the clothes." He nodded. "Good. I had my housekeeper bring your clothes to the laundry. They'll be dry by tomorrow morning." She swallowed her gratitude, still marveling at his generosity. "Thank you again for letting me stay here," she said softly. "I'll leave as soon as I get a handle on this situation." "You mentioned that you saw Jeremiah going into a nearby property." Alexander glanced at a local map on the desk. "Which one exactly?" Anna leaned forward, scanning the map. "I'm not entirely sure, but it was near the corner of Lauder Avenue, I think. The house had big stone pillars and an ornate gate." Alexander tapped on the map, then frowned. "That might be the Martinez residence, or possibly the Addison estate. Both are within a few blocks. Any chance you saw a name or number on the gate?" She shook her head, remembering how she had become so fixated on Jeremiah's figure that she hadn't absorbed the rest of the details. "I wasn't looking that closely." A thoughtful silence lingered. Anna toyed with her hands, dread gnawing at her. It occurred to her that maybe she was getting in over her head. Stalking Jeremiah through wealthy neighborhoods wasn't exactly safe, especially if Jeremiah had connections she was unaware of. She shot a wary glance at Alexander. "I have to ask, why are you helping me? Don't you think it's odd, letting a complete stranger stay here?" His gaze shifted, and for the first time, Anna thought she saw a flicker of uncertainty. Then he shrugged. "It is odd, but you seem sincere, and I suppose I have a soft spot for lost causes." She bristled slightly at the term lost cause, but let it go, suspecting he meant no offense. "Well, thank you, regardless. I'm grateful." Alexander cleared his throat. "I can make a few discreet inquiries. I know a few neighbors, or at least their staff. I might learn if your ex-husband has started frequenting one of the homes nearby." Anna offered a thin smile. "I don't want to drag you into my mess." He shook his head. "I'm already in it, so to speak. given you ended up in my pool, and I have my reasons for wanting to know who's coming in and out of this neighborhood." She tilted her head, curiosity piqued. "Reasons?" He seemed about to answer, then stopped, changing tack. "There have been instances of trespassing, even break-ins in this area lately. I'm protective of my privacy." She accepted his explanation, though something told her there was more he wasn't saying. A man like Alexander Stewart, wealthy, reserved, seemingly jaded, likely had layers of secrets. She recalled the fleeting sadness in his eyes when he mentioned inheriting the house from his grandfather. Perhaps there was some private pain he harbored, but it wasn't her place to pry. "All right," she said. "Any help would be appreciated." He reached for his phone, scrolling through contacts. "Let me call someone who might have information." While Alexander was on the call, his tone crisp and businesslike, Anna observed him anew. She noticed the subtle tension in his jaw, the way his shoulders squared as though bracing for confrontation. Something about him screamed meticulous control. She found herself wondering what was behind that disciplined facade. When he ended the call, he turned to her. "I have a friend, Detective Michael Anderson, with the local police. He knows this neighborhood well. He might be able to tell me if there's a new occupant or someone entertaining frequent visitors." Anna's eyes widened. "I don't want trouble with the police." "It's just an informal inquiry," Alexander assured her. "No mention of your name or your ex-husband, just curiosity on my part." Anna nodded, feeling simultaneously relieved and anxious. Her entire plan, if it could even be called a plan, rested on shaky ground. She had come to confirm Jeremiah's betrayal, but now she found herself entangled with a mysterious billionaire, forging alliances with detectives and wrestling with her own emotional scars. How had her life spun so far off track? As she left Alexander's study to get some rest, a surge of conflicting thoughts swelled within her. A sense of foreboding tugged at her, as though she was standing on the edge of a cliff, about to take a leap that would change everything. Maybe it was just exhaustion, or maybe it was the undeniable fact that nothing in her world would ever be the same now that Alexander Stewart had entered the picture. The following day dawned bright and warm, a radiant sun lighting up the estate's immaculate grounds. Anna awoke feeling disoriented in the plush guest room, momentarily forgetting she wasn't in her shabby apartment. Reality came rushing back: the ex-husband, the clandestine stakeout, the accidental pool dive, and Alexander Stewart's unsettling kindness. She found her freshly laundered clothes folded neatly on an armchair, along with a small note. "If you need anything else, let me know. A.S." The simple courtesy made her chest tighten. Part of her felt indebted, another part felt wary. She dismissed her internal conflict for the moment, got dressed, and ventured into the main house. She spotted a maid vacuuming the hallway, who kindly directed her to the breakfast room. The aroma of coffee and fresh pastries lured Anna in. Alexander, dressed in a tailored suit, sat at the table scanning a tablet. He glanced up as she entered, gesturing for her to take a seat. "Morning," he said, pushing a tray of croissants toward her. "Help yourself." "Thank you," Anna replied, settling down. She poured herself coffee, the comforting heat reviving her. "You're dressed for work?" He offered a faint smile. "Yes, I have some business to attend to downtown, but I wanted to talk to you before I left. I reached out to Detective Anderson last night. He confirmed that the Addison estate recently sold to a businessman named Nigel Carter. That name ring a bell?" Anna shook her head. She wasn't sure if Jeremiah was connected to a Nigel Carter, but the name didn't spark recognition. "Apparently, Carter hosts frequent gatherings," Alexander continued. "Jeremiah could be visiting, but we don't know for certain yet." Frustration flickered across Anna's face. She took a quick bite of a croissant, wishing she had more concrete leads. "What about the Martinez residence?" "Still owned by the same family, but they do rent it out sometimes," Alexander said. He tapped on his tablet. "In either case, we should verify if that's where Jeremiah is going." Anna nodded thoughtfully. I could take a drive around, maybe see if his car is parked outside. Alexander set down his tablet, fixing her with a measured stare. Anna, I have to be blunt. This is risky. You're essentially stalking him. The last thing we need is to escalate a situation that could become dangerous. She bristled slightly, but recognized his concern was valid. I just need to confirm a few things for my peace of mind. Once I know what he's up to, I promise I'll be out of your hair. I'm not kicking you out, Alexander said evenly. I just want you to be safe. Let's do this methodically. I can have someone discreetly check the Addison estate. If Jeremiah is indeed involved with the new owners, we'll have more to go on. Anna stared at him, a flurry of emotions in her chest. Why are you so willing to help? Alexander paused, choosing his words carefully. I told you I don't appreciate unwanted intrusions in this neighborhood. If your ex-husband is using this area for illicit affairs or something worse, it's in my best interest to be informed. Self-preservation mostly. She had a feeling there was more to it, a sliver of empathy behind that cold logic, but she let it rest. All right, she murmured. Thank you. Let's do it your way. His phone buzzed, prompting him to glance at the screen. He stood, smoothing the front of his suit jacket. I have to go. Feel free to make yourself at home. My housekeeper, Carla, will help you with anything you need. I'll be back in a few hours. Anna watched him leave, her stomach twisting in knots. A part of her wanted to rush out, track Jeremiah herself, and force a confrontation. But she also knew she was in over her head. Alexander's resources and connections might be her best shot at uncovering Jeremiah's secrets without risking complete humiliation or worse. With the day stretched out before her, Anna wandered the estate, overwhelmed by the grandeur of polished floors, crystal chandeliers, and elegant decor. She eventually found a tranquil library, where she sank into a velvet chair and tried to distract herself with a novel. But the words blurred. She couldn't stop thinking about Jeremiah and the new reality she was facing. After an hour of restless page-turning, Anna's phone chimed with a text from Monica. Any updates? Are you okay? She quickly typed back, I'm safe, staying with a friend. He's helping me look into Jeremiah's activities. We'll call you soon. Almost immediately, Monica replied, a friend? You'll have to spill the details. Anna let out a soft laugh, imagining Monica's reaction if she told her the truth, that she was staying in a billionaire's mansion after nearly drowning in his pool. The bizarre chain of events felt more fictional than real. I'll explain everything soon. Promise, she texted back. Returning to the library's window, Anna gazed across the manicured grounds. Somewhere out there, Jeremiah was living a life of secrets and lies. She pictured his smug face as he charmingly deceived the new woman in his life, just as he had deceived her. A spark of determination lit within her. She'd soon tear down his facade, if only for her own self-respect. What Anna didn't realize was that she wasn't the only one with secrets. The deeper she delved into Jeremiah's affairs, the closer she'd come to unraveling the man who'd rescued her from the pool, the man who was becoming increasingly complex the more she observed him. And as the path of truth twisted and turned, it would ultimately lead her to a crossroads, forcing her to choose between exposing betrayal or opening herself up to a new love that could heal her wounds in unimaginable ways. Later that afternoon, Anna sat alone in the estate's sunroom, relishing the streaming light that warmed the elegant space. She scrolled through her phone, idly checking social media. That's when a message from an unknown number popped up. Stop snooping around. You won't like what happens next. Her heart skipped a beat, and her breath caught in her throat. Who could this be? She reread the message, feeling a surge of alarm. Did Jeremiah know she was onto him? Or was it someone connected to him? Quickly, she shot back a reply. Who is this? But there was only silence. A cold dread settled over her. She jumped at the slightest sound, half expecting a masked figure to burst into the room. Her rational mind argued that it might just be a prank, but another part of her whispered that she was truly in danger. She couldn't help but recall Alexander's warning about being cautious. Determined not to panic, Anna decided she needed some fresh air. She found Carla, the housekeeper, dusting a nearby hallway. "Carla, do you know if Mr. Stewart keeps any bicycles or something for a quick ride around the neighborhood?" Carla smiled warmly. "There's a small garden shed near the garage with a few bicycles. Mr. Stewart rarely uses them, but you're welcome to one if you like." "Thank you." Anna offered a grateful nod and made her way outside, finding the shed. She picked out a lightweight bike, checked the tires, then set off down the long driveway and onto the quiet roads of the neighborhood. A gentle breeze swept through the sprawling mansions. The wide streets were lined with towering palm trees and carefully pruned hedges that allowed only tantalizing glimpses of luxury behind high gates. Anna pedaled slowly, trying to recall the exact spot where she'd seen Jeremiah's silver Lexus turn. As she drew closer, she recognized the imposing stone pillars marking one estate's entrance, likely the Addison estate Alexander had mentioned. The gate was closed, but beyond it, she could see a fancy circular driveway, no sign of Jeremiah's car. Another pedal down the block revealed a second driveway with more discreet pillars. A black SUV was parked within, its tinted windows hinting at secrecy. She paused, heart pounding, scanning the property from behind a tall hedge. Was Jeremiah here? If so, what was he involved in? Suddenly, she spotted a hint of movement, a figure crossing in front of a side window. Anna's palms slicked on the bike's handlebars. Should I get closer? Before she could decide, a male voice barked, "Hey, what are you doing there?" A uniformed security guard emerged from the side gate, striding toward her with authority. Fear jolted through Anna. She forced a smile, gesturing helplessly at the hedge. "I'm sorry, I'm just riding around the neighborhood. It's so beautiful here. I got a bit lost." The guard eyed her suspiciously. "This is private property. Move along." "Of course." "Sorry." She quickly pedaled away, her heart drumming in her ears. As she sped off, she realized she hadn't seen any sign of Jeremiah, though that hardly ruled out his presence. Back at Alexander's estate, she locked the bike away and hurried inside, her mind racing. That threatening text message still hovered in her thoughts. She checked her phone. No new messages. A wave of relief mixed with apprehension washed over her. Instead of going to her guest room, Anna found herself gravitating toward Alexander's study. He was still out, presumably at meetings downtown, but a part of her hoped she might glean something from the environment he worked in, some clue about who he really was. She stepped into the study, inhaling the faint scent of leather and old books. She ran her fingers over the spines of volumes on economics, law, art history. A painting above the fireplace caught her eye, a serene landscape of rolling hills at sunset. Curiosity piqued, she took a closer look. Beneath the painting was a small plaque that read, "In memory of Andrew Stewart, beloved grandfather." A pang of empathy darted through her, so the house wasn't merely an inheritance in monetary terms. There was emotional resonance here, a family legacy. She wondered if Alexander carried burdens of grief or responsibility he didn't show. As she turned to leave, her gaze fell upon a partially open drawer in Alexander's desk, revealing a worn photograph inside. The black and white image depicted a younger Alexander as a teen, standing beside an older man with kind eyes, likely his grandfather. An air of nostalgia emanated from the picture. She resisted the urge to snoop further and gently closed the drawer. We all have secrets, she thought, recalling her own. Her phone buzzed again, sending her heart skittering. She fumbled to read the screen, only to find a new message from Monica. "Call me ASAP. It's about Jeremiah." An electric current of anxiety coursed through her. She dialed Monica's number, pressing the phone to her ear. "Monica? What happened?" Monica's voice was terse. "Anna, you need to be careful. Jeremiah just asked about your whereabouts like he was worried or something. I told him I don't know where you are. Then he warned me, said you shouldn't meddle. I got the creepiest vibe." Anna's grip tightened around the phone. "He threatened you?" "I don't know if it was a direct threat, but it felt intimidating. He said something like, "Tell Anna to keep out of my business or she'll regret it." A shiver crept up Anna's spine, matching the menacing tone of the text she received. "I got a similar message from an unknown number," she confessed. Monica gasped. "He must know you're digging into his affairs. Please be careful." After hanging up, Anna slumped against the desk. What is Jeremiah involved in? She wondered. This went beyond a simple affair. He seemed to be entangled in something more sinister, enough to issue threats. Outside, she heard the rumble of a car engine, likely Alexander returning. She hastened out of the study, her mind aflame with unanswered questions. Jeremiah was growing suspicious. Strange as it was, she felt safer here, in the home of a man she'd known for barely a day, than anywhere near Jeremiah's secrets. Yet the dread in her gut refused to subside. She sensed that she was standing at the threshold of a revelation that could shatter her world, or perhaps, if she managed to survive it, pave the way for a new, unexpected path, one that even her battered heart dared not imagine. That evening, Alexander returned, his demeanor tighter than usual, as if weighed down by a day's worth of negotiations and burdens. He didn't head for his study, but instead went straight to the patio, where the last rays of twilight filtered through the tall hedges. Anna found him there, leaning on a stone balustrade, gazing at the pool where they'd first met under such awkward circumstances. She approached tentatively. "Alexander, are you okay?" He offered a quick glance, then returned his focus to the shimmering water. "Business," he murmured, as though that single word encompassed a lifetime of complexities. "But enough about that. What about you? Did you learn anything new today?" Anna hesitated before divulging the threatening text and Monica's call. She watched him carefully for a reaction. His expression grew stern, the tension in his jaw returning with a vengeance. "They're threatening you," he said, voice low. "Seems like it," Anna confirmed. "I don't know how serious it is, but Monica said Jeremiah sounded almost desperate. It's like he's in over his head with something." Alexander exhaled sharply. "You can't continue this alone. I'll have my security keep an eye on the perimeter, and if you need to go anywhere, you'll let me know first." His protective stance took Anna by surprise. "Thank you, but I don't want to impose—" "It's not an imposition," he interrupted, turning to face her. In the waning light, his hazel eyes appeared dark, reflecting determination she hadn't seen before. "I won't allow threats on my property, or against someone. I'm trying to help." An unexpected warmth seeped through her. For a moment, she thought she saw vulnerability in his gaze. The idea that he genuinely cared about her well-being triggered conflicting emotions. Gratitude, apprehension, maybe even a flicker of something else she wasn't ready to name. She forced her attention back to the facts at hand. "We still don't know what Jeremiah's up to, or if he's connected to this Nigel Carter. Did Detective Anderson get any new information?" Alexander shook his head. "Not yet. But I have a private investigator who can dig deeper. I just have to place a call, and I'll do that first thing in the morning." They stood in silence, side by side, the soft evening breeze rustling the palm fronds. Anna couldn't help but recall her married life with Jeremiah, how lonely she felt even then. She'd longed for safety and understanding, but never truly received it from him. And here, with a relative stranger, she felt more recognized than she ever had. "Alexander," she began cautiously, "I appreciate what you're doing. I know we barely know each other, but it means a lot. I'm not used to people helping me just because they care." He tilted his head as though considering her words. "You deserve that much, Anna." She studied his profile. In the dying glow of sunset, his face looked older, weighted by responsibility. She wondered how many nights he spent alone in this grand estate, wrestling with losses he rarely spoke of. Before she could probe further, Carla appeared with a gentle cough. "Mr. Stewart, dinner is served." He nodded. "We'll be right in." At dinner, conversation was subdued but companionable. They spoke of trivial things, favorite foods, childhood memories. Anna learned Alexander spent part of his adolescence abroad, studying in Switzerland, and that he returned stateside to take over family responsibilities after his grandfather's passing. He skirted around details of corporate dealings, but revealed enough to show that running his family's conglomerate was as much an obligation as it was a privilege. In turn, Anna recounted how she had dreamed of becoming a writer when she was younger, how finances forced her to abandon college and take any job she could find. She admitted her marriage to Jeremiah was partly an escape from a life she felt was going nowhere. The confession made her cringe inwardly, but Alexander didn't judge. After the meal, as they lingered over cups of herbal tea, Anna's phone vibrated again. Every new message now set her on edge. But this time, it was Monica. She quickly excused herself and stepped into the hall to answer. "Anna, you won't believe this," Monica said, voice trembling with excitement. "I heard Jeremiah's in deep debt, something related to gambling. A mutual friend mentioned his name came up in a shady poker ring. That might explain why he's desperate." Anna's eyes widened. That would also explain his hostility. He might be mixed up with dangerous people. Monica hissed. "Exactly. Be careful. If he's dealing with loan sharks or criminal types, they won't appreciate anyone nosing around." Anna sighed. "I'm staying with, well, someone who can help protect me. But thanks for letting me know. If you hear anything else, call me." Ending the call, she leaned against the wall, her heart hammering. Jeremiah in gambling debt, possibly entangled with criminals. That might place her in the crosshairs if they believed she had evidence that could jeopardize their operation. She re-entered the dining room, where Alexander watched her with an alert, questioning gaze. She relayed what Monica had said. Alexander's expression tightened, his hands curling into fists on the table. If that's true, Jeremiah might be far more dangerous than we realized. Or at least the people he's working with are. Anna's stomach churned. The loving husband she once thought she had was now a distant memory, replaced by a reckless gambler who threatened her security. She glanced at Alexander, who nodded resolutely. "We'll handle it," he said, standing, "but let's be systematic. Tomorrow I'll hire a private investigator to confirm Jeremiah's involvement. Then we'll decide how to proceed." Their eyes locked in silent understanding. There was no turning back. Their strange alliance, born from a chance encounter at his pool, was now a lifeline in a swirling tide of danger. And in the undercurrent of worry, Anna felt a quiet stirring of something else. A fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, she was not as alone as she once believed. Early the next day, Alexander made the call to his trusted investigator, a sharp-witted woman named Naomi Flynn, who had a reputation for uncovering secrets with remarkable efficiency. Anna waited anxiously in the background as he outlined the situation, carefully omitting unnecessary details about Anna's presence. Within an hour, Naomi was on the case, promising results soon. In the meantime, Alexander insisted Anna stay indoors. He seemed to transform overnight from a polite host into a protective sentinel. Extra security patrolled the estate's boundaries. Anna wandered the mansion's corridors, restless and uneasy. She fought the urge to do something impulsive, like driving to Jeremiah's new haunt and confronting him outright. But she forced herself to trust Alexander's plan. By late afternoon, Naomi sent a short text to Alexander. "I have information. Meeting." He showed it to Anna and said, "We'll go see her. She's nearby." Anna grabbed her belongings, nerves jangled with anticipation. She followed Alexander to his sleek black SUV, and they navigated through the city to a discreet parking garage. They found Naomi leaning against a pillar, dressed in a stylish blazer and holding a tablet. "Naomi Flynn," she introduced herself to Anna, her handshake firm. "I've confirmed some details about Jeremiah Thompson. He's heavily indebted to a gambling syndicate, rumored to be connected to Nigel Carter. Carter's involvement in illicit casino nights is well known in certain circles, though nothing's been proven in court." Anna's stomach twisted. So that's why Jeremiah's in this neighborhood. He must be dealing with Carter, trying to get funds or cut a deal. Naomi nodded, eyes flickering between them. There's more. I intercepted chatter suggesting Jeremiah asked Carter for a sizable loan, using property or possibly future earnings as collateral. If Jeremiah can't pay up, Carter will come after him, and anyone associated with him. He's known to be ruthless. A chill spread through Anna. She thought back to the threatening messages she received. And Jeremiah thinks I might be interfering with his deal. Potentially, yes, Naomi said. He may fear you'll expose him or cause complications. Carter hates complications. People who hinder his business have a tendency to vanish. Alexander's jaw tightened. We need a plan. Anna deserves closure, but more importantly, she needs protection. Naomi tapped her tablet, glancing up. Jeremiah is set to meet Carter tonight at the Addison estate. If you want proof of wrongdoing or a chance to confront him, that's your best shot. But it's risky. Anna's heart thudded. Confront him. Her emotions soared between anger and fear. She burned to face Jeremiah with undeniable proof of his betrayals, but the idea of stepping into Carter's den of criminals was terrifying. Alexander put a hand on her shoulder, looking directly into her eyes. You don't have to go. We can document from a distance. Naomi can gather evidence that we can use to keep you safe or even go to the authorities. She weighed the options, her voice trembling. I need to see it. I need to see him in this environment, to put an end to my questions, otherwise I'll spend the rest of my life wondering. Naomi pursed her lips. It's dangerous, but if you really want to do this, I can arrange a vantage point where you won't be easily spotted. Alexander, you should be there too, with backup if possible. Alexander nodded reluctantly. Then it's decided. We'll be careful. That night a tense hush enveloped the Addison estate. The group arrived separately, Naomi in her inconspicuous sedan, Alexander and Anna in his SUV. They parked on a dark side street. Naomi slipped out, blending into the shadows, while Anna and Alexander quietly crept through the thick hedge bordering the property. The estate beyond was a sprawling mansion lit by strategically placed spotlights, casting dramatic shadows. Anna's pulse hammered as they sneaked closer. They found a vantage point near tall shrubs, with a partial view of the back patio. There Jeremiah stood, fidgeting nervously as he waited for someone. He still wore the same confident air Anna remembered, but it was tinged with desperation. She felt a pang of grief for what could have been, but any lingering love was overshadowed by betrayal and fear. Moments later, a slick black car pulled up the driveway, headlights cutting through the darkness. A man in an expensive suit, presumably Nigel Carter, stepped out. Two formidable bodyguards flanked him. Jeremiah approached, hands trembling as he extended some documents. From their hiding spot, Anna strained to hear snatches of conversation. More time? Next week? Collateral? Suddenly, Carter's voice rose sharply. You'd better not double-cross me, Thompson. I don't care who your ex-wife is or what she might know. If you don't pay up, you're done. Anna's stomach twisted. Carter knew about her. Jeremiah had dragged her into his twisted scheme. She bit down on her lip to keep from crying out. Jeremiah blanched, stammering, I promise. She's not involved. I'll handle it. Carter's expression turned menacing. She'd better not be, because if she meddles, I'll make her regret it more than you can imagine. A wave of terror crashed over Anna. Behind her she felt Alexander shift protectively. His hand found hers, giving a reassuring squeeze. She realized with a jolt how safe that single gesture made her feel. Carter continued, And if you can't produce the money, you better hope you're good at running. Jeremiah nodded vigorously, stepping backward. Carter snatched the documents from Jeremiah's hand, scanned them, then whirled around. The tension was palpable, thick as the humid night air. Anna's phone suddenly buzzed, vibrating loudly in the hush. In one horrifying instant, Jeremiah and Carter's heads jerked up, scanning the darkness. Carter's bodyguards moved swiftly, guns at the ready. Alexander cursed under his breath, tightening his grip on Anna's hand. She fumbled to silence her phone, but it was too late. "Who's there?" Carter barked, eyes narrowing like a predator about to pounce. Naomi, hidden at a different vantage point, quickly caused a distraction by kicking an empty trash can, sending it clattering across the pavement. Carter's guards rushed in that direction, giving Alexander and Anna precious seconds, but Jeremiah's gaze swung their way. For a moment, their eyes locked. Ex-husband and ex-wife, locked in a silent acknowledgement of discovery. Alexander yanked Anna's arm. "Run!" he hissed. They fled through the shadows, hearts pounding, as Carter's enraged shouts followed them. Hidden in the thick vegetation, they circled back to the SUV and sped away into the night. Anna's breath came in ragged gasps. She had her proof, and more than she bargained for. Jeremiah was in deep, and she was now a target. As the estate disappeared in the rearview mirror, tears streamed down Anna's face. She felt both victorious. She finally had closure, and terrified beyond words. Alexander's hand never left hers as he drove, navigating the empty streets at breakneck speed. She didn't know what awaited them next, only that they'd crossed an invisible boundary into a world of danger that would not relinquish them easily. They arrived back at Alexander's estate under the cloak of darkness, adrenaline surging in their veins. Anna stumbled out of the SUV, leaning against the side as she tried to catch her breath. The night's events flashed through her mind in disjointed fragments. Jeremiah's pleading, Carter's threats, the looming bodyguards. The magnitude of what she had witnessed overwhelmed her. Alexander, still composed despite everything, placed a supportive hand on her shoulder. "Let's get inside," he said quietly. "We'll talk after we're safe behind locked doors." The click of the security system engaging echoed through the foyer as Alexander led Anna to the living room. She sank onto the sofa, pressing a trembling hand to her forehead. In the overhead light, Alexander's face appeared drawn, shadows accentuating the sharp lines of his cheeks. He took a seat next to her, leaving a respectful distance but close enough that she could feel his presence. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Anna drew a shaky breath. "Well, I got what I wanted. Proof. Closure. I can't deny it anymore. Jeremiah's in serious trouble." Alexander nodded, lips pressed into a thin line. "And he's dragged you into it. You heard Carter's threats." She closed her eyes, images of Carter's cold gaze searing her memory. "He's dangerous. We need to go to the authorities, right? But then again, do we have enough evidence? Naomi was there too, but can we build a case? Carter's obviously well connected, and Jeremiah..." Her voice trailed off. Would Jeremiah even help them or come after her, clinging to his last shred of self-preservation? Alexander took a deep breath. "Naomi got video and audio recordings, or so she told me on the phone just now. We have at least the basics of a case. But it might not be enough to topple Carter. He's slippery. The biggest issue is your immediate safety." Tears brimmed in Anna's eyes. "I can't keep hiding forever. I have a job, an apartment." Even as she said it, she realized how powerless she felt, how alone. Unless... She caught herself. She had no right to assume Alexander would keep sheltering her indefinitely. He sensed her hesitation. "Unless you'd prefer to stay here for a while." His tone was soft, earnest. "I can arrange for discreet security so you can continue your life while we figure out how to handle Carter. I don't want you facing this alone." Gratitude surged in Anna, blending with uncertainty. "Alexander, I don't know how to thank you. Why are you doing this? Why help me so much?" For a moment he looked away, as if collecting his thoughts. When his gaze met hers again, the guarded reserve she'd come to associate with him seemed to fall away. "Because I can't stand by while someone who doesn't deserve this is put at risk, and because I care about you, Anna." Her heart fluttered at his admission. She realized how much had changed between them in just a few days. This wasn't just sympathy or a sense of obligation. He genuinely felt something for her, and she couldn't deny that she felt an undeniable pull toward him too. The intensifying emotions between them both scared and exhilarated her. "Alexander, she began, but words failed her. Instead, she reached out and placed her hand over his. His fingers turned, clasping hers gently, a silent promise in the midst of chaos. A sudden chime on Alexander's phone shattered the fragile moment. He grimaced, checking the screen. "It's Naomi. She wants to meet tomorrow morning to discuss the evidence and the next steps." Anna nodded, withdrawing her hand. "Yes, of course. We should figure out the legalities. If Jeremiah has threatened me, or if Carter is after me, I can't keep living in fear." She stood, attempting to steady her frazzled nerves. The living room's warm lighting and comfortable furnishings felt jarringly normal compared to the danger swirling around them. "I'm tired," she confessed. "I need to lie down, try to calm my mind." Alexander walked her to the base of the grand staircase, his expression still tinged with worry. "Rest. Tomorrow we'll figure out a plan with Naomi. I'll ensure nothing happens tonight." His voice carried a protective resolve that made her heart ache with both gratitude and a fragile hope. She smiled weakly. "Thank you, Alexander, for everything." He brushed a gentle hand over her arm in a quiet gesture of comfort. "Good night, Anna." As she climbed the stairs to her guest suite, Anna wrestled with a riot of emotions: relief at finally exposing Jeremiah's betrayal, fear of Carter's wrath, and a blossoming feeling of connection to the man who had quite literally caught her in his pool just days ago. The weight of her predicament pressed on her, but so did the possibility of a new chapter unfolding, one that could redefine her understanding of trust, love, and her own resilience. Tomorrow, the journey would continue, filled with legal battles, personal reckonings, and hopefully a path leading out of the labyrinth of danger. For tonight, she would allow herself the small comfort of hope, a hope anchored by Alexander's unwavering presence, binding two bruised souls on the brink of forging something extraordinary from the chaos. Anna's quest began with heartbreak and suspicion, leading her into a world she never expected, a labyrinth of secrets, betrayal, and high-stakes deals. From the moment she plunged into Alexander Stewart's pool, their destinies intertwined, bound by a growing trust neither saw coming. Confronting her ex-husband's lies gave Anna the closure she needed, but it also opened the door to a terrifying underworld. Through it all, Alexander's quiet strength and unwavering support guided her, proving that even in life's darkest hours, hope can emerge in the most surprising forms. Will Anna and Alexander outmaneuver the dangerous forces closing in on them? Can love truly blossom amid chaos and uncertainty? Keep watching for the next thrilling episode. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Your engagement helps us bring you more captivating dramas filled with love, suspense, and life-altering twists. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.